Hi everyone, welcome to India Yarn Circle. I'm Divya of String Diary and your host for the Nifty Thrifty Eco Bag Cal in collaboration with GOkraftz yarns. So let's begin with the instructions. So if you remember, in week 1 we completed 8 sections of 6 rows each for the go high bulky yarn and around 10 sections for the go bulky yarn. So we ended the week 1 instructions with the second section with the single crochet, double crochet combination stitch in the contrast color. So as you can see, we have one corner point already here. So that's our first corner point. Now when we finished this row, we reached to that point which is the second corner point. Now if you see, let me just explain on how we're going to go about with the construction ahead. So we've reached one corner point. We've worked ahead and increased on both sides to reach the second corner point. Now to make it a rectangle, what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing from one point. So it changes direction in this point and so we start decreasing at this point. However, we will continue to increase at this point. So this becomes longer and this width becomes fixed. So here you start decreasing. So at this point you start decreasing to form that rectangle, whereas here you keep increasing for whatever sections are mentioned so that you can create that longer edge of the rectangle. Once we reach a point where we've done enough increases or we've got the length, what we're going to do is, now this side is going to continuously keep decreasing, right? So even though we're decreasing here, we're increasing. So we're decreasing one stitch here, increasing one stitch here. So it remains constant and it will form like a parallel edge. But once we've reached that length of whatever rectangle length that we need, we're going to start decreasing. So that's the point where we reach corner point 3. And then we start decreasing. So we're decreasing already here and we start decreasing here as well. That leads to our corner point number 4, right? So very simple. It's just easy. You can just follow the instructions. Not very hard to understand, very easy to work as well. So we continue with the same set of stitches. So now I have finished week 1 here in contrast color yarn. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that last stitch, okay, and change color and start with a new color, right? So your main color. So here I'm going to complete this final stitch. Now if you have an issue with the way I had suggested of changing colors, what you can also do is complete the first stitch entirely and leave that loop. Go back into the last 2 loops of that stitch, okay, and pull up your new color, right? So at this point you're going to have 2 loops coming out of the last two loops of that previous stitch, right? I'm going to pull that back so that it's a proper loop. So you have 2 colors here. So it doesn't matter if you're going to have like a changeover or if you see 2 colors at the same time, because we're going to work on these edges again in the end. So you can just take those 2 loops together and chain 1 or chain 2, whichever is required when you change the color, right? So this kind of ensures that your stitch is complete, but at the same time it keeps your the previous section color, it doesn't take it off loose, so you still have a loop there. You can just pull both the loops tighter. So because I'm starting the next section with the main color and we're going to be continuing with the same stitches of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, mesh stitch, So I'm going to turn the work, right? Now at this point, instead of the increase that we usually did, we're going to decrease 2 stitches, decrease 1 stitch, which means we're going to do double crochet 2 together. So double crochet basically means you yarn over, insert the hook in the stitch, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, right? And then yarn over, pull through 2 is your double crochet. So this is, but we're not going to do that last part of the stitch. So this is a partial double crochet, right? So we did a partial double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over again and do the same thing in the next stitch. That is yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, right? So now we have 3 loops on the hook, and these are 2 partial double crochets that we have done. So yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So this, even though there are 2 separate double crochets that we've made, on the top it joins together to form one stitch, right? I can show that to you again. So we've done our chain 2. Okay, so yarn over, insert the hook in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, 2 loops on the hook. Now yarn over, insert hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, right? So 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops together. So that's a double crochet 2 together, right? So then we continue with our repeat, which is chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, right? So we're going to continue this all the way till the end. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, right? So we're going to continue this all the way till the end, and once I reach the end, I'm going to tell you how we're going to work on the other side of this row. Now because we have done a decrease here, and you know that now this is the side where you need to do decrease, you can just pick up a stitch marker and mark this side, so that you know that this is the side that you have to decrease, whereas the other side is where you have to continue increasing, right? So let me finish this all the way till the end, and I'll see you then. So I finished I've come to the end of that row, but before I tell you how to finish it, I'll just tell you where all I have marked the stitch markers, right? So this is the point where we started. So I've put a stitch marker at that corner. So this is your corner number 1. Now the last stitch that we finished in the contrast color of that section, that is either your row 48 or row 60 depending on what yarn you're using, that last stitch will be corner point number 2, right? So I've put the stitch marker there, and I have put one more stitch marker on this side, which is the orange stitch marker, to remind me that I need to decrease on this side of the stitch marker rather than the other side, right? So now I've completed that entire row with chain 1, skip 1, DC all the way till the end, right? So I have done chain 1, skip 1, DC, right? Now I have, so the last repeat I have done chain 1, skip 1. Now I have 2 stitches remaining, so I'm going to DC in the second last stitch, so that becomes a full complete repeat, and then in the last stitch I'm going to make 2 double crochets. So I'm still increasing on this side, even though I have decreased at the start of this row, I'm still going to increase on this side. So now if you see at this point, we've already started changing direction. So we're going to keep decreasing on this side, but we'll keep increasing on the other side, right? So that will give us that rectangular kind of shape. So we finished one edge. We're working on parallelly on both the side edges of the rectangle. Right, so we go on to the next row, which is chain 1, turn your work, right? And like the previous sections that you have made, we increase as usual. So that's double crochet, 2 single crochet in the first stitch, right? And then single crochet in each and every stitch and chain space all the way till the end, right? So I'm just going to finish this. I'm going to speed up the video a little here and meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so now I have reached almost the end of the section of the row. So I'll just you insert your stitch marker in the last stitch, right? So now I have 1, 2, 3 stitches left, so I'll complete 1 single crochet in this stitch. Now in the last 2 stitches we'll do a single crochet 2 together. So single crochet 2 together follows the same concept as double crochet 2 together. You make partial stitch. So the single crochet stitches, you insert the hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, right? That is your single crochet stitch. But a single crochet 2 together means that you're going to insert the hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, hold that loop, right? So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're not going to complete that stitch. Instead, you're going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through all 3, right? So that's your single crochet 2 together. Now you can keep moving this stitch marker onto the last stitch of your of that row, right? So now we'll go on to the next row, which is similar to what we did before. So that's chain 2, turn your work, and we'll do a double crochet 2 together in the next 2 stitches. So that's 1 partial double crochet, another partial double crochet, and yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That's your double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to put the stitch marker back into that last stitch, in the first stitch that we made, and then we have the repeat as usual, which is chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, right? So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. So we continue, keep doing that all the way till the end, and then at the end, because we're going to be on the other side where we still have to continue increasing, we'll have the same thing that we did in the previous row. That is, we'll have completed that repeat of chain 1 double crochet, and then in the last stitch we will do 2 double crochets in the last stitch, right? So I'm going to keep continuing. See you at the end, and we'll keep repeating these 2 rows 2 more times. So that's 1, 2. So these 2 rows together have to be repeated 2 more times. So that makes 6 rows together for one section. And I will meet you at the end, where I will show you at the end of this section, where I'll show you how we change color and do the next section for this part of the rectangle, right? So I'll see you at the end of this section. So now I have reached the end of this section. As you can see, I have done 6 rows. I have decreased every row here with a double crochet 2 together, single crochet 2 together, double crochet 2 together, single crochet 2 together. And you can see that's the corner point 2 that we have, and you can see the direction almost changes at that point because we're decreasing stitches here, right? So now that I've decreased stitches here, but at the same time I have continue to increase stitches here, so that still forms that straight line, right? So don't worry if if your edges are not straight, if some sections are flaring up, and it's not like an even edge. It's okay, don't worry about all of that. We will take care of all of that during blocking. So now we'll go on to the next row, right? So I'm changing the color here, right? So I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to, so because it's a this, I'll go by the same method that I did earlier. So my last stitch is a single crochet 2 together, so I'm going to pull up 3 loops, right? And then I'm going to pull both these loops together so that that stitch gets completed, and then work with the next contrast color yarn, right? So I have one single chain here. I've turned my work. Right now I have for the next row I'll continue the same thing. So this is the side where I'm supposed to be decreasing, right? So I'm going to, after the chain 1, I'm going to make a single crochet 2 together. So that's insert the hook, pull up 1 loop, insert the hook, pull up another loop. So that's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of them, right? Then our repeat, that is chain 3, skip 1, single crochet in the next, right? So chain 3, skip 1, single crochet in the next. So I'm going to continue doing this throughout. Now you have to remember that since, like in the previous rows also, if you see from the point we started decreasing, we're decreasing 1 stitch here and we're increasing 1 stitch on the opposite side. So they both cancel out each other and the number of stitches remains constant, right? So because these two are parallel sections to each other, so the number of stitches will always remain constant because you want them to go parallel. We are not increasing or decreasing weirdly on any side. So we're decreasing from one side, increasing on the other side. So the stitch count remains the same, right? So based on that, you can follow the stitch count table and make sure you count on every row to ensure that you're not missing out on any stitch, you're not skipping, either forgetting to skip a stitch or skipping an extra stitch in the middle. So make sure you count your stitches at the end of each row, right? So I'm going to continue doing this repeat, which is, so the only tricky part about decreasing, increasing, whatever happens either at the start of the row or at the end of the row. But in the middle, you continue doing the same kind of stitches that you've done previously. So your chain 3, skip 1, single crochet in the next, right? So you continue doing that. I will continue doing this all the way till the end, and I'll see you at the end of this row. Now I have reached the end of this row, right? So I have chain 3, skip 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, right? And I still have the last stitch pending here. So in the last stitch, I am going to make 2 single crochets in the same stitch, because remember, we're decreasing on this side, but we're still continuing to increase on the other side. So I'm going to increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch, right? So now chain 2, turn your work, and I'll continue the increase again on this side. So it will be 2 double crochet in the first stitch, right? Then 1 double crochet in the next stitch and 1 double crochet again in the next stitch. So that's 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 2 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, single crochet in the chain 3 space, double crochet in SC. So that's your repeat: single crochet in chain 3 space, double crochet in SC, right? Single crochet, double crochet. So you're going to continue doing that all the way till the end, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the decrease at that point, because we have a new stitch, new combination stitch that will come up at that point for the decrease, right? So I'll see you at the end of this row. So now if you see, I've reached the end of that row. Now if you see, I have a chain 3 space and that first stitch of single crochet 2 together that I made, right? So I have only these 2 stitches left. So what we have done is we in our previous repeats we've done single crochet in the chain 3 stitch, chain 3 space, and a double crochet in the single crochet, right? Now here we have to decrease these 2 stitches to form one stitch, right? So what I'm going to do is, here you have a combination stitch called single crochet double crochet 2 together, which means we're going to combine both of these 2 stitches, that is 1 single crochet and 1 double crochet. We're going to combine these 2 stitches to make one stitch. So single crochet double crochet 2 together is, this is how you do it. So single crochet, first, our first part of the stitch is single crochet. So we insert the hook into the chain 3 space, pull up a loop, right? So we have 2 stitches on the 2 loops on the hook. Now this is your partial single crochet. I'm going to hold this and I'm going to do a partial double crochet in the next stitch, right? So yarn over, insert the hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, right? And that's your partial double crochet. Now I have a partial single crochet, partial double crochet, 3 loops on the hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through both, pull through all 3 loops, right? So now if you see, there's a single crochet and a double crochet which has been combined together to form one stitch. So that is your single crochet double crochet 2 together. It follows the same methods as your earlier stitches of double crochet 2 together or single crochet 2 together. It's just that you're making 2 different partial stitches and looping them all together, right? So if you want, I'll show you one more time, right? So in the last 2 stitches, I'm doing a single crochet, that's half partial single crochet, and then a partial double crochet, that is yarn over, insert your hook, pull up 1 loop, you'll have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you have 3 loops on the hook, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, right? So that is your single crochet double crochet 2 together. Now chain 1, and we're going to repeat these 2. So I'll turn our work, right? So I have single crochet 2 together, so that's single crochet 2 together, and then the repeat of chain 3, skip 1, single crochet in the next stitch, right? So this continues all the way till the end, and remember, we're decreasing on this end, but we're going to continue increasing on that end. So when you reach the end, it's going to be a single crochet in the second last stitch and 2 single crochets in the last stitch. So we're increasing at that point, right? So the instructions are mentioned in the blog post. You can always go back and read the instructions, as well as pause this video and re-listen to the instructions. So I'll be putting up a link in the description box below for the blog post of this week, as well as for the blog post of last week, along with the video tutorials which are already included in the blog post, right? So I'm going to continue this. So it's a repeat of both of these rows, right? So I'll continue with the repeat of both these rows till I reach 6 rows, and I'll meet you at the end where I decrease at the last point, and that is when we will finally reach the end of our the length of the triangle and reach corner point 3, right? So let me finish all of this and I'll come at that point where we reach corner point 3. So I have reached the end of this section, right? And I'm at that point where we've decreased with a single crochet, double crochet, 2 together. At the same time, if you see the other side, we've continued increasing here, right? And we've reached that point there. So now what you can do is you can take a new stitch marker and put it in the last stitch. So if you see here, we've done 2 double crochets as an increase at that point. So we'll insert the stitch marker in the first double crochet, right? Now this is your corner point 3. So if you see, I don't think the whole thing will fit in the frame, but if you see, now we have corner point 1, right? We increased on both sides till we reached corner point 2, right? And then we started decreasing for 2 sections here, but at the same time we increased 2 sections there. So now this from corner point 1 to corner point 3 is longer, and corner point 1 to corner point 2 is shorter, right? Because we've turned and started decreasing here, right? So the work turns by itself when you start decreasing. Now that we've reached this point, okay, now I'm going to show you how we're going to decrease from this side, so that decreases. So this is your corner point, and we start making the side number 4. So we start decreasing at this point, and we continue decreasing along this line as well. So which means now we're going to decrease from both points, from both the ends, right? We're going to decrease both the sides and go to that point, corner point number 4. So we're going to create that corner there. So which basically means we're just going to decrease on both sides, right? So now I have, let me just, yeah, there. So I've finished this end. Okay, now I'm going to change colors to the main color, right? So now from this row onwards, our stitch count will decrease by 2 stitches on each row, similar to the way that the stitch count increased when we started, because we're increasing 1 stitch on each corner. Now we'll be decreasing 1 stitch on each corner, right? So I'm just going to take new color, sorry, the main color, right? And I'm going to pull both the loops there. This is just a precautionary way to change colors if you are not confident with changing the other color with a partial stitch. So you complete the stitch with both the colors, and so chain 2, right? Now since we're already on the decrease section, you know what the decrease is going to be. So that's double crochet 2 together, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch, right? So you continue the repeat, that's chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch, and then when you reach the end, so I'm just gonna fast forward this point and meet you at the end. So now I have reached the end of this row. So I have chain 1, skip 1, and I have the last 2 stitches here. So what I'm going to do is decrease on these last 2 stitches as well. So we decreased at the start of the row, we're going to decrease at the end of the row as well. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, right? You can remove the stitch marker, right? So double crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. I'm going to put that stitch marker back in that last stitch from the previous row, because this is going to be our corner point 3, right? So I'm going to chain 1, turn to work on the next row. Now we're decreasing on both sides, right? So continuously we'll do the same thing. So that's single crochet 2 together, right? And then single crochet in each and every stitch and chain space. And then by the time I reach the end here, I will be making a single crochet 2 together again in the last 2 stitches, right? So I'm going to meet you at the end of this row. So now I have reached the end of this row and I have the last 2 stitches remaining. So I'm just going to do a single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, and that's it. So now you repeat these 2 rows, so which is similar. So that's chain 2, turn your work, decrease again, so that's double crochet 2 together, so 2 partial double crochets, pull them off together, so double crochet 2 together, and you have your repeat of chain 1, skip 1, double crochet all the way till the end. So when you reach the end here, you will have chain 1, skip 1, and then you will have last 2 stitches, and you'll do a double crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, right? And then repeat the single crochet row as it is. So you repeat the rows again for the next two more times till you reach 6 rows for this section, and I will meet you at the end of this section to show you how we do the decrease on both sides for this pattern, right, in your contrast color. So now I have reached the end of this section, and if you see, we've decreased on this side at every row. We've decreased 1 stitch on this side, and at the same time we've continued decreasing on this side as well, right? So we're decreasing 2 stitches each row, right? So now I've changed the color to contrast color, and I'm going to turn our work, and we'll do the decrease here as well. So single crochet 2 together, right? Chain 3, that's a repeat, so that's chain 3, skip 1, single crochet in the next stitch all the way till the end, right? So we continue doing that repeat all the way till the end, and when you come at the end here, you will have single crochet, you do chain 3, skip 1 stitch, and then you'll have 2 stitches remaining, and you'll do a single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, right? So just make sure to count your stitches on each row so that you do not miss a stitch or you don't have any issues with the stitch count, because then your shape will start to get affected because of it. So please make sure to count your stitch counts on each row, and at the end of the blog post there is a table for the stitch counts for each row, clearly mentioned in what row, how many stitches, how many chain spaces, etc. So that'll be very helpful. So just continue doing this. I'll meet you at the end of this row. So now I have reached the end of this row. I've done single crochet, chain 3, skip 1, and I have 2 more stitches left. So I'll do a single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, right? And then chain 2, turn our work. Now here is where we're learning another new stitch, which is very similar to the previous decrease stitch that we learned earlier, which is double crochet, single crochet, 2 together, right? Now because in this second part of the stitch you know that you're going to do a double crochet in the single crochet and a single crochet in the chain space, right? So we're doing a partial double crochet in the first stitch, right? So a partial double crochet in the first stitch, a partial single crochet in the chain 3 space, right? Partial single crochet in the chain 3 space, and yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, right? So it's very simple. I'll show you again. It's exactly like you did the single crochet, double crochet, 2 together. Similarly, this is double crochet, single crochet, 2 together, which means you're just doing the double crochet first. So that's yarn over, insert the hook in the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, that's your partial double crochet. Okay, then insert the hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, that's your partial single crochet. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, right? And then you have your repeat, which is double crochet in the single crochet in the chain 3 space, double crochet in the single crochet in the chain 3 space. So you're going to continue doing this all the way till the end, and at the end when you reach here you're going to do the decrease that we learned earlier, which was single crochet, double crochet, 2 together. So partial single crochet in the chain space, partial double crochet in the last stitch, and yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, right? And then you just have to repeat those 2 rows again. So these 2 rows that you make, you're going to just repeat that. So you're going to constantly keep decreasing on both of these sides in each row in all the sections. So we're going to repeat this main color section and the contrast color section one more time, and that's it for week 2. However, in the next week we will complete the entire section, reach to that point of corner point 4, and I will explain everything about how to block and go on with the project. So again, as I said, do not worry if your piece doesn't look like a rectangle, it starts looking like a rhombus. Don't worry about all of that. Just make sure that your stitch counts are right, and that you continue working as the stitches are mentioned and as the sections are mentioned, right? In terms of the decrease on this end after, so in terms of decrease from corner point 2 on one side, increase on the other. When you reach the corner point 3, then decrease on both sides, right? So please be careful about that, but then rest is very simple, very easy. The decrease stitches are also not very hard. And if you have any queries, you can always get in touch with us at India Yarn Circle on Instagram. You can contact me directly on String Diary on Instagram, or you can leave comments below this video if you have any queries. Meanwhile, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the India Yarn Circle YouTube channel to get more tutorials and more cals like these, and at the same time follow us on all the social media platforms. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.